Where Udia like? Udia.
X, what Pananta, where are you? Because Minamon 5, I've just switched to 5,600. Oh, I made the other cab which is outside. What Pananta Munga Kira? What you do? Nothing if I go 5.6, man. Yeah. If I would tell that you once. Yeah.
Hi. Good morning.
What is
Good morning, and we're here at Jake Bottas, the of the provincial legislature by the Premier, Dr. Ramathuba.
Oh, okay.
With me, I'm sitting at the Vindo, and next to him, Mr. Namguni, and so will be.
Yeah.
As you that are seated. Thank you. Is that okay? Okay. But the guests, can you hear them?
Le Afro.
Fall back.
Oh,
they don't have yet. Yeah.
No, it has fingerprints. I know exactly why it's bothering him. He's just looking at that and he's like, I can't. Even if it's just a wet wipe.
Come in, Shembe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Sorry, this is much softer than alien. Sorry? No, I mean it's low. Okay, so I should speak to them, eh?
I know.
Okay. Right, as we continue with this special broadcast that we have here today, and I am seated with Dr. Lowe and Mr. Nguni. Gentlemen, just to test Dr. Lowe, good morning. How are you doing today? I'm very well, thank you. Good to see you. Nguni, good to see you as always. How are you doing this morning?
I'm well. It's good to be here in the north and escape the cold Gauteng.
Yeah.
There's always some warmth here.
Yeah, we always warm. You can see it today. It's a bit warm outside. Good weather for this auspicious occasion that we
We
are
just want to
sitting.
check 6 and 5 if they're the same.
Quotations, Dr. Do? Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Mina ngimbona ngibizi. Kuba khona senduliyeza.
Wabo manje sebamtshela ukuthi ame phakathi manje. Nezinto ezistandard life
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I also think I'm hearing him from situations too. Should I speak to Nguni in the meantime?
Red carpet.
Yeah, mangisuka la ngiyangizwe.
Right, Nguni, having traveled, having visiting the north, and we know here in the north we've been making noises that have been reaching throughout the country. What are your expectations?
I think, it's going to be interesting to see how the Premier focuses on what she clearly has a vision of in this new term.
What do you want to do with the other pet dog?
That same rebuilding state capacity
Yeah.
to get some, services.
Yeah, because
Yeah. That's what we
Centralized
need.
procurement and tendering. Of course, it will probably butt heads with some people
Yes.
who have relied so much on that as a way of income and so on.
Yeah.
But I think it's an important vision proposition. When she made the proposition, I said, now she has my attention.
Yes.
Because, for a rural province such as Limpopo, the demands for maintenance of your roads, particularly gravel roads, are much higher. And for that reason, then, you do need a lot of state capacity to get those things done.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting to see what elements of state capacity we need in the provinces in the main
Yes.
deliver health and education, and therefore expecting to hear a lot from that.
Yeah. And Dr. Ndo, of course, just taking from what Nguni is saying, the Premier has already made statements around a vision, and we're going to get more of that, but already she has given us an idea of what she's going for.
Indeed, it appears as if the Premier has been looking at how things and how they were done in the past.
Yes.
And she appears to be saying, give my own way.
Yes.
And that's why the expectations for all of us would see something different.
Yeah.
That will be coming from this administration. But whatever approach that they might be coming up with,
Yes.
should always be people-centered. That the citizens should be able to say, have seen other administrations, but this is the 7th administration, and we expect something to get even much better.
Yes. To what degree, Nguni, obviously the Premier is new, but it's the 7th administration, a continuation of ANC. To what degree do you have some form of
Interesting period. This is the first Premier change in 11 years in Limpopo.
Yes.
Brasten Matawata was Premier. He had a solid 11-year run. When he came into office, he did the same appraisal in address. When he came into administration, Limpopo was really challenged with a number of departments placed under administration by the national government, particularly led by Treasury, because of the systemic and other structural financial collapses that were happening in the province. You remember at that time the province had gone into a sizable overdraft in terms of its revenue challenges, and this was almost seen as bankrupting of the province. So I think the trajectory of rebuilding governance and placing systems in place, making sure that there's checks and balances, there's a healthy balance sheet. You continue to strive for as many departments and entities of the province to get clean audits and all of that. So I think there'll be continuation of that.
Yeah.
However, I think where there's discontinuity is that the ANC in this province is not as challenged as the ANC is nationally. Provinces like Gauteng, Northern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, where they've lost the majority to govern.
Yeah.
There may well be a strategic need for continuation in terms of what works in this province, rather than be pressured by, gravitating to the committee to make those provinces and the nation, which is government. I think insofar as that is concerned, it will be interesting. Of course, the Premier sits in the cabinet lekhutlas, so no doubt that some of the things that she'll be saying here are things that would have been reflected in Cape Town when he was opening Parliament. There's quite focus the ANC's own manifesto in terms of just the that it makes is to getting people to work. And that's going to be probably the biggest thing to watch. How is she going to get the people of Limpopo to work?
Doc, as Mngoni is talking about what works in the province, from what we have seen, what would you say has been working in the province?
Well, I think what has been working in the province has been the degree of cohesion, political cohesion, especially when you look at the ANC in the province. Even though at some point there were areas where you could see some tensions, but with the previous administration of Matabata, you could see cohesion, and you could see stability in the party and in government. And my view is that if you are able to address that, it becomes much easier, because an element of comradeship at a party level and a collegiality at government level makes things work easier. So that is one thing that has worked for Limpopo, but also the ability to take the citizens along in whatever you do, in my view, is something that Limpopo has been able to do. To say, at a party level, also at government level, they are able to carry their citizens with them. There has been a lot of disconnection between the party and government in some provinces. And that's why in the 2016 elections, 2022 elections, 2019, the ANC support, lack of support, it's attributed to citizens who are saying that we are not in touch with the politicians. We don't know what's happening. The level of consultation has gone very, very low. And that has not been the case with Limpopo. And I think what Limpopo is to do is to continue in ensuring that in whatever they do, they carry their citizens along.
And when you've had the Premier already speaking about wanting to reconnect with the citizens, the public, whether through initiatives, there's already an initiative called the Kharakara Wednesday. You go and pave and clear roads and so on. But just to talk about that issue of reconnecting with the public, speaking to the public, service delivery wise as well.
No, it's a very important issue, because if you don't connect, first of all, how does government connect with its citizens? It's through service delivery. It's through ensuring that the public and social goods that are promised to people are actually of a particular quality that is meaningful. So I often say, if you talk about access to rights, I mean, you must have, I often talk about three elements. You must have access to the right. It must be provided at the level of quality that it ought to be. But then citizens have to have the utility over that right. So whether it's water, whether it's electricity, education, and health, you can have access to it. It could be of quality, but you may not have the financial means to actually utilize it. And we know that in rural areas, for example, the question of electricity, a number of households still just use electricity to power their phones, maybe a TV, a fridge if you are lucky, but hardly as an energy source for for cooking and all of that. They still rely on other alternative energy sources, which are still very much like your open fires, gas, your paraffin, and so on, because they don't have the ability to purchase electricity to the level to use it for the entire demand of the household. So it's important to start thinking about how do you then make sure that you deliver services to that level of ability to utilize. But yes, public consultations are important, but they must also be done in a meaningful way, not in a patronizing way. Sometimes we see politicians saying they're going to host imbizos and they go to communities. People raise issues, but there's no responsive governance. So you harvest the issues, but then people feel you don't come back to actually make good on your promises. And that's what creates the greatest disconnect, is broken promises, empty promises. And so one of the things that, as she thinks of reconnecting with the public, is making sure that she has enough backroom support that is able to make sure that the promises made are fulfilled, but also they are not just promises for the sake of promises. I think the South African polity generally is maturing in a different way, where citizens are becoming very demanding of their own rights. But also I think it's going to be important to have follow-throughs. I mean, at some point we'll probably talk, one of the president's district development models, pilot project was here in Limpopo.
Yes.
But that project has seemingly just vanished. And we know that one of our critical challenges in South Africa is the state of local government.
Yeah.
And as she builds her, her profile as premier, as she connects with the citizens, the thing that will probably be at the back of her mind is the 2026 local government which will also be of important consideration. And therefore, it's important that whatever she says today, the district mayors, the local mayors who are in attendance today, will take the line of march and go and also connect with the citizens. It's not just for her alone. It's for the entire value chain of politics to connect with the citizens and residents in their municipalities.
And perhaps it's encouraging that she has already spoken in terms of wanting to deliver services, wanting to speak, wanting her work to speak for itself. And Ngoni speaks about the district development model, Doc. But we know, there's been a lot of talk shop, there's been a lot of imbizos, but the public would generally say, well, the next time you come back, bring a resolution, bring an answer, bring a solution. Don't come and say, what are your problems? We have been talking about our problems.
Those that are in government are aware of all the problems that citizens have.
Yeah.
And I think having celebrated 30 years of democracy, it was good and fine, but I think it's also time to change the gear and start doing the actual work. Talking to the people about their challenges has been done on numerous occasions, but you need government that is output-based to say, whatever plans that we have, we should actually be having plans that talks to implementation. And of course, there should be an element of also ensuring that there's sufficient resources to provide these issues or these services that are supposed to be delivered. And one area that the Premier has touched on was that departments and entities should be very, very careful of making commitments when there are no financial resources available.
Yes.
So I think it's time for honesty on the part of the brokers and politicians to say, if there are things that they cannot be able to deliver on, they should be able to come out very open and very clear to the citizens and say, we've got this kind of a challenge, maybe you should be able to wait. And I think as long as you're honest and you're able to provide honest information to the citizens, they can be able to understand you. But the biggest problem is when every day you go to the citizens, you make promises and you don't deliver. And that is where you create unnecessary tensions between yourself and the citizens.
Talking about tensions, well, there easily may not be a tension on this issue now, but unemployment, youth unemployment, job creation, top of the list for any government in the country, top of the list for a generally rural province such as ours, and you expect the Premier will obviously focus in that area, Mgoni?
No, of course, the Premier should focus on that. I mean, unemployment is probably now the biggest threat to social cohesion in this country. At some point, something has got to give. You can't, I mean, as Julius Nyerere used to put it in the context of Tanzania, you can't have a loitering youth in your country and think that you don't risk social upheaval because people who have too much time in their hands, not kept economically busy and meaningfully busy, end up starting to not see a future. And once you start having that, you know, sense of lost hope, other things come into play. So we start seeing suicide attempts and suicide rates going up amongst young people. We start seeing young people having an intergenerational conflict with their parents, whom they may feel gatekeeping and so on.
Yes.
The only saving grace for rural provinces is that it's very difficult for people to organize in rural provinces. So when you have a protest in a rural province, it's very difficult to get people from the villages to
I need to move. Please switch. Vai Kavit. Cross ang Bambi. Cross ubuyela lapha ku. Sesiqalile kahle. Four, 5, 4. Five is on tripod, is on top of the, what you call it, is far from sound. Yeah, predominantly so, but you can use us both.
during the play of the national anthem. Bomme le bontate, bontate bao ba apere o dikuse, re le kgopela ge re opela pina ya setšhaba di tlhogoleng go laetša tlhompho ya pina ya setšhaba. All members in uniform must salute during the playing of the national anthem. The national anthem will now be played. Thank you. Maaresho ba le leng gona mo for go tla go bona procession ya rena ge e sepele. Ke kgopela gore wo leng gaufi le ene e le motho wa ntate gore go opelwa pina ya setšhaba wa bona a apere kuse mmotse gore ge ba re tlhobolang dikuse ba rane wena o apereng kuse re opela pina ya setšhaba. I get an announcement before. What I pay, they were the news. One how close which are not and papa, both are good, they were Shubala Kusa. When I went on it, we are praying. All angles, one of the camera tape of Papa Name. Who do a shady once at the recess of the law? Whenever uniform, when we say all members in uniform must salute during the play of the national anthem. You are not saluting, you are still moving up and down. We are referring to you also. Salute during the play of the national anthem.
Good morning and welcome. We are coming to you for the second time this year from the Jackpoters Hall here in Polokwane. The first time it was at the end of the 6th administration, and this time around we are ushering in the 7th administration. And good morning to Limpopo, good morning to the rest of the country. I'm your host, Ngamola Jaoke, and my co-driver, Tolani, to help us steer this ship will be joined by our political analyst, Dr. Levindo, and Luke Honamguni. We'll also have political analyst Elvis Masora. The people of Limpopo have spoken out of the recent elections. Limpopo emerged as the only province that gave the ANC a majority government. This speaks to the confidence the people of this province have for the ruling party. We will look at the highlights of the services that the previous ANC government delivered.
Indeed, Ngamula, but we will also be looking at the fun stuff. Limpopo is rich with diversity. We've got the World Heritage sites of Mapungubwe and Makapa's Valley. We are rich in mineral deposits. Our cultural and heritage have enriched the country through music, dance, visual arts, and colorful heritage costumes as well. So we will be looking at all the different influences in the way that members have chosen the garments for this occasion. But before we do that, let's hear what the citizens of our beautiful province expect from their government.
Right, so we continue, of course, with the conversation, a special sitting here today, the opening of the provincial legislature that will be addressed by the Premier, Dr. Phophi Ramathuba. And of course, there's a lot to talk about in as far as the issues that are relating to the province. Well, of course, then we'll be having our analysts to engage and speak to us through. We also have one of our Koyenkas who will be on the red carpet. Will also be engaging with her, just get an idea of what is happening there as well. Right, so we will go to the, let's go now. I think we'll go to Adele and hear what Adele has for our viewers there. Adele is on the red carpet. She'll give us an idea of what she's seeing. You can hear from where I'm sitting, there's a lot of festivities, a lot of activities you can see there on the screen as well. The police as they are marching through, ushering in this important event. Adele.
What can people expect today?
Good morning to you. Good morning to the viewers at home. There are a lot of expectations that citizens have. And the fortunate part is that as we usher in the 7th administration in the province, the leadership of the province is aware of the challenges that people face every day. People want to get out of poverty. People of Limpopo, especially the young ones, they want to see government coming up with initiatives that is going to create jobs for these young people. People of Limpopo want to see Limpopo developing and small businesses thriving and seeing their lives changing. And I think that is the message that the government of Limpopo through the Premier has to deliver. But more importantly, they need to be very much assured that they've got a government that is caring, the government that is actually going to move them from one place to the other. We have celebrated 30 years and everybody's excited about the 30 years of democracy.
Yeah.
But what is very, very important at the same time is that life has to go on, and whatever challenges that we have, this administration should have a clear plan on how do they deal with that.
And of course, a lot of expectations, Nguni, in terms of the Premier already having come in with vibrancy, having spoken, already given an idea of a line of march. Just still talking around the expectations as we sit here today for the opening of the legislature. What do you expect?
Well, I think one expects, an outlining of the vision.
Yeah.
So what is going to be the vision for the 7th administration? This is the first Premier change in 11 years in the province. So people had been used to Stanley Matabata's way of doing things, mannerism, way of speaking, and what he was passionate about.
Yes.
So I suppose this is going to be the first instance where the Premier really outlines what she is passionate about. She's known in the province as MEC of Health, probably the longest serving MEC of Health in the province, and how does she, recalibrate herself away from that picture of just being an MEC of Health, but being now having a wider perspective and caring about multiple things and juggling competing interests, as Dr. Ndo is saying.
Yeah.
I mean, in the issue of service delivery, jobs creation, ensuring that there's food in homes and people are having a promise that the quality of their lives will change and the quality of the public and social goods that get delivered to them will improve.
Yeah, yeah. And Dr. Doe, maybe still on that line in terms of the expectations, as we say, that the Premier has already given an idea, has already been speaking. But of course, Mguni was saying we're coming of a government led by the former Premier who has been here for 11 years. So for that period of time, you have had a stable government in the province. And maybe talk to us about that in linking the change to where we are now.
When Matabata came into the provincial government, there were a lot of challenges in Limpopo. And remember, he had to be brought in order to bring stability. And what we have observed in his tenure is that there has been financial stability, there has been good records in terms of how the government has been functioning. But the advantage that we have now is that Dr. Ramathuba has been in that administration as well.
Yes.
And she could be able to have observed where there are gaps or where there are challenges, and she comes in with that good experience in which she could have said to herself, if I'm able to identify these few challenges that are there, maybe I should change the approach.
Yes.
What I like about the Premier is that the Premier appears to be bringing in fresh energy, fresh ideas, which would require the colleagues in the bureaucracy and in the executive to join her and ensure that what the province has achieved under Matabata has to continue. But also at the same time, she could also continue on where Matabata has left off. But at the same time, we need to get the Dr. Ramathuba's legacy. And I think that is what she could be working towards, to say, I've seen what has happened in the past, but this is the route that I'm actually taking as the new Premier.
Take us through a little bit on some of the projects maybe that the government, even the previous administrations, have come up with to help small businesses, especially because that's been the most complained about thing, small businesses saying that after COVID we have never been able to recover, and now that there's a new administration, we are hoping for things that are going to help our business, which is going to help the Limpopo economy.
Well, one of the important issues that the Limpopo government has been able to do has been to provide sufficient support, especially to small businesses. And what in most instances they will do would be to open their arms to say there are businesses that are run by young people.
Yes.
There are businesses that are being run in different localities, as in different communities, which requires the support of the government and ordinary citizens themselves. And I think in terms of encouraging that element of self-sustainable, of ensuring that people are able to cooperate together, that's one area that, in my view, government has been able to do much better. But at the same time, it could not be enough because the challenges of poverty and unemployment, unfortunately, are not ending. And with the population that is growing every day,
yes,
Limpopo government has to come up with more projects and initiatives to ensure that everybody does feel accommodated in the system.
No, certainly, and of course we'll talk about, perhaps want us to touch on some of the highlights of the achievements of the previous administration. And so there are obviously a number of issues, a number of things that the previous administration had, areas of achievement, whether there'll be continuity on that. But before we do that, Mnguni, it is important to note this is the first woman premier in the province. And we have seen a character from her work in the Department of Health, a very engaging, community-orientated leader that she has been.
No, certainly. I think she brings a different type of energy to the previous premiers that have been in this province. I mean, there are luminaries who have led this province, your Ramathuba, your Silo Molotos, your Kasal Matales, and of course, there have been challenges in some of those administrations, and I think she's really aware of that. I mean, particularly during the Kasal Matale administration. So you don't want to make the reverse, as Dr. Ndo was saying, financial stability, but what kind of engagement do you bring to the citizens? And I think one of the things that she will need to develop with the communications team in particular is a bit of a strong embeddedness in communities, not in a kind of look busy premier when you are actually not delivering, which sometimes some premiers get accused of. You are looking too busy. You're almost like on a speedboat mode. Because you want to be seen everywhere. But I think it must be meaningful engagement. It must be engagement with the intention of bringing about a responsive government that actually delivers and caters to the needs of the people. It must be an engagement that has less promises and more commitments. And I think that she has the energy, she has the knowledge of the province, because when you run health in the province, you really get in touch with some of the most vulnerable people in the province who really need care, who really want health to work. Of course, I think she'll also still be very much passionate about making sure that her successor carries on where she would have left, making sure that there are newer facilities in Limpopo. We know that there are certain services, health services, that people in the province have had to rely on going to Gauteng to receive them, because the public health facilities have not been able to cater those. Specialized care and all of these kind of things, making sure that you respond to the demands that people are facing in terms of their ailments and illnesses. So I think she will bring that engaging spirit, but as I said, now that she's premier, the love must be equally shared. It must be as shared to the citizens as it is to the stakeholders, the traditional leaders. Limpopo is a very complex province because it's highly diverse. I mean, we talk about how there has been stability over years, but we know how in 2016 demarcation issues really challenged this province in the area of Vuwani and so on. So you need to spread that love, ensure that no communities are feeling left behind compared to others, because that's one issue to really be mindful of in this province, when you are seen as if you are catering more to a particular region than another region, and they maybe see it now in a different lens of identity politics. So I think that will also be an important consideration.
And even as we talk about that, I mean, some of the work that has been done in the previous administration that are easily being carried over, there's work around the academic hospital here in the province. You talked about people needing to go to Gauteng or elsewhere to get certain health services. So there's that work there. There's an investment on the SEZ, and there's the provincial state theatre. I've already seen that the premier has been moving around Dr. Ndo and engaging, getting a sense of the issues on the ground, but wanting to be responsive as well.
I think the premier has been quite prepared for this responsibility, and I say so because it had become very clear, even 3 years back, that Limpopo has only been the province that did not have a female premier, and most female leaders in the province were prepared that they could take over. But also at the same time, I think she was well positioned. Especially because she was coming from health. That she was able to touch on many other areas. And in the process of going to visit hospitals and clinics, you are also therefore able to identify other challenges. Roads, for an example, that leads to those clinics and hospitals. You are able to check the water supply, whether these people are getting sufficient water. But also at the same time, you are also able to check the poverty level in the communities that you are you're dealing with on a regular basis. So
Yes.
those are the issues that has also positioned the Premier to be able to have a broader picture on what is happening in Limpopo. But at the same time, most of the services that we could not get in Limpopo
Yes.
appears to be coming right in Limpopo. And the development corridor, this SEZ that we're talking about,
Yes.
appears to be one other project in my view that has got a potential to lift up the economy of the province and provide the much needed jobs that we always talk about. We've seen a lot of other projects that are coming in. The hospital that has been built now next to the stadium,
Yes.
it's an essential institution to deal with health matters in the province. And I think those are the issues that as we move forward, you'll need more of such initiatives to be brought in for the people of the province.
Yeah, well, when we speak about special economic zones especially, it's not everyday language that people use. And one would sort of struggle to actually also come up with ways in which SEZs are benefiting the everyday person who is not necessarily into business and someone who doesn't necessarily understand how the logistics of an SEZ would work. How would you explain that to someone, a layman, for example?
It could be the situation because maybe there could have been a lapse in terms of communication on what ordinary citizens might actually achieve. These are projects that have taken place in other areas to develop an economic zone which could start by attracting big businesses. But as big businesses start to thrive, they also attract people to get employed in such initiatives. The location of the SEZ for me is quite strategic because it is on the route towards Zimbabwe, and that can also create a linkage between Zimbabwe and South Africa in terms of exchange of products or trades. So ordinary citizens can also be able to benefit out of such initiatives. We have seen small-scaled economic zones in many towns,
Yes.
but we have not seen it as massive as the expected project in the Messina area. And one would expect that to be very, very successful because if it's done properly and properly managed, it has a potential to create as many jobs as possible for ordinary South Africans.
You know, talking about the proximity with Zimbabwe there, Nguni, the Premier has already spoken about how the province is positioned in terms of tourism. And well, we have got neighboring SADC countries. And so that is important in many ways in developing the province and developing its economic potential.
Absolutely, and developing the accessibility of the tourist attractions.
Yes.
And of course, one of the big conversations, as you would know, I mean, in this province are some of the most pristine, lodges, and whether you are in the Mahuba's Kloof area, everybody wants to go there at some point, whether you are down in your Bela Bela, Mutimule areas, and so on. But the question becomes, how would we make sure that there's accessibility? One, in terms of infrastructure accessibility, because sometimes people complain. I mean, the roads are not good enough. You can't drive at night. But also accessibility in terms of pricing. So what are the conversations that need to be had with these various establishments to make sure that we are also able to unlock internal tourism? Because one of the things that South Africans are crying about is the fact that these areas are becoming more and more expensive for them to achieve because they are targeting, dollar tourists, pound tourists, euro tourists who spend in foreign currencies and come from outside. And I think that's going to be an interesting issue. I was chatting with Dr. Ndo last night.
Yes.
He lives around a touristy attraction, and you know, the people there always feel there's a takeover. And how do we make sure that we don't develop hostility between the hosts and the tourists, where it seems as if tourists come in to take over their spaces, but they don't get to have that? What is the development imperative that these areas have? Because I can guarantee you, every tourist attraction you drive towards, there is a small, very poor community located next to that tourist attraction where the employment is being sourced from. But what are the development imperatives in terms of the local communities, in terms of ensuring that these destinations also have some impact in the lives of the people and in the development of the areas? So I think that is an interesting thing that you raise. Of course, the border with Zimbabwe, there are a lot of controversial issues that are still there, you know, in terms of border management, and I think the province will probably do well to cooperate with the Department of Home Affairs, make sure that the border, you know, management agency that has been put in place actually does its work, so that people are getting into the province legally, ensuring that there isn't an influx of people to whom then they become a burden in terms of the social infrastructure of the province, but also making sure that the trade is unlocked and unblocked. Because it's one thing to say there's potential to trade, there's potential to get things across the border, not just to Zimbabwe, as a gateway into the other parts of the continent. But what is the ease of, you know, people getting through border control? How are the waiting periods? What's the turnaround, processing, and all of that? So I think there's a lot, and this introduces the aspect of intergovernmental relations.
Yes.
Because we must not see the province in isolation to the national government. There must be intergovernmental relations, which there has been some weakness in terms of cooperation between, you know, different government departments and provinces, because provinces are just seen as being given a particular mandate. And I think as we move forward in this 7th administration, that cohesiveness between the spheres of government will become important.
The issue of borders as well brings me to the topic of crime, which is something that people in Limpopo should put a lot of concern about today. There's a lot of crime coming in from other countries, and crime even within our province, because of how close it is to the bordering countries.
All right.
How
Sorry there, I just realized I'm getting that we're just having a sound interruption slightly as Chloe was talking there, and we'll go back to Chloe in a bit as well, and she'll continue with what she was saying. But as we fix a sound there, just one other issue perhaps that we're talking about there relating to that issue of the economy. So there was an investment conference, you'd remember, Dr. Ndo, in 2020, there was one in 2021, and 2023 was probably interrupted by COVID there in 2022. And so there's been commitments in terms of investment. And of course, some of them pledges into the SEZ and also a serious injection into the economy of the province.
Indeed, we've had a lot of such activities, and that talks to the desire by government to ensure that indeed our economy has to grow. But at the same time, there are many instances where we have had a lot of these initiatives, and at the same time, they do not grow as expected, or sufficient follow-ups are not actually being made. But those are the initiatives that should be welcomed, because in one way or another, they still make an impact in the lives of ordinary people. But it's also important, in my view, that the desire to make to come up with initiatives and make them work is always there. And all that we need is a buy-in. Find the best ways and strategies to still be able to attract business to come and conduct their businesses here. But also, we also need the communities to be active participants in ensuring that the environment for business is fertile. They are comfortable whilst doing their businesses. The protection of these people and their own businesses is also very, very crucial, because we've seen a lot of businesses collapsing and business owners deciding to leave because of crime, theft, and they are not protected. At the same time, you have got criminals who would come in to threaten these business people that are in there. And if they do not get sufficient protection, that also create problems. And the people who becomes victims are ordinary citizens themselves.
The communities reach like Seychelles, for example, they've got the SCADAG, which has played a huge role in fighting crime in the community. But organizations like that have often complained about not getting enough support from the police themselves, not getting enough support from the government in order to access more people and to move to more communities. How can this administration make sure that organizations like that actually thrive and they help in the greater good of fighting crime?
Well, I suppose it's always a very difficult issue because, I mean, the policing architecture itself has the design of police and community policing forums. And even community policing forums themselves have been complaining that they are not getting enough support, their budgets have not been increasing. The budget for policing has been decreasing in this country, and this is some of the fighting points we had in the budget debates in Parliament. For example, when Minister Senzo Mchunu was tabling the Department of Police budget, when various political parties were criticizing the fact that the line item for protecting politicians in terms of VIP protection is always increasing, measuring around 4 billion rands and so on, but the line items for actually keeping communities safe is on the decrease. So yes, partnerships are important. The issue of privatization of securing society is a bit of a murky water. I mean, we currently have more guns owned by private security companies than they are owned by police. And that creates a material risk for national security, for national stability. And I think one of the things that we need to talk about is how do we capacitate police to police properly? How do we capacitate, community policing forums? And yes, organizations like that may well have a role to play in partnership with the police and so on. But I do think that this administration's focus seems to be about building state capacity. And we've seen recently in some provinces, for some strange reason, I think a number of premiers appreciate that this issue of safety is actually a very serious threat that confronts citizens. And we've seen a number of provinces removing safety from an MEC function to a provincial function. We saw that with Premier Nduli in KwaZulu-Natal. We saw that with Premier Lesufi in Gauteng, as they were appointing, MECs. And I hope that it means then safety issues will also benefit from strategic budgets that are available from within the Premier's office, and it will be for the Premiers to try and drive those partnerships.
Right, so we'll continue with our conversation. As you see there, the guests are arriving, the different members of the Executive Council are arriving as well. A lot of festivities and activities outside. Let's go there. Well, on the red carpet there, we have our co-anchor Adele, who's looking into the developments, looking into as people come in there. We'll catch up with her, just get a sense of what is happening on the red carpet. Adele, good morning. I can't hear her. I could hear the director, but I can't. Right, so let's, as we continue there, we will go back to Adele in a moment. We should be able to reconnect with her. Interesting though, what you see there as the different guests are arriving. Obviously, as you know, in these events, people dress very well, colorful. As we're sitting earlier, we're observing and listening into the different cultural exhibitions that were there, with the dances, with the singing, and interesting to see people arrive. So
I just can't believe, TC, that you might have forgotten to let me know that the theme was black, because it does look like a lot of people are wearing black today, and it's just me looking like a colorful person. But I'm happy to be bringing color to the event, as we are in a very colorful province, and everybody looks like they took some traditional influences from some of our, traditions in Limpopo. Your Sepedi culture, your Shitsonga, your Chivenda, all incorporated in the outfits that we are seeing on the red carpet.
Yeah, and there's a perfect exhibition, if you will, an indication of the diversity in our cultures here in the province as people come in. And you've got people coming from all walks of the province. You've got mayors from different districts, different local municipalities. You've got councillors, you've got speakers, you've got all the officials of the government coming today. But you've got, and I was standing outside earlier, you've got traditional leaders as well that are here, and some members of the community, and of course you've got us in the media to make sure you catch all of this as we continue with this conversation. So, yep, and as we continue, we'll keep keeping an eye on what is happening there on the red carpet so you do not miss anything. But of course, as we continue with our guests, we were talking earlier about the issue of crime, of course. But one other area that is a very strong pillar of economic development in the province is mining. And before we get to crime in mining or in related matters where you have illegal mining, but let's talk about mining as an important pillar of economic development in the province. Dr. Ndo, and you would have seen over time, there's been a serious investment in that in the province.
Indeed. If there is one area that the province has to take advantage of, is that of mining. I know that there are a number of challenges that will relate to mining. You alluded to illegal mining, but also at the same time, you have situations where there is lack of cooperation, rather.
Yes.
Especially from communities where mining has to take place. At to a certain extent, you'd have challenges with traditional leaders. My view is that you still need to have a continuation of the partnership between the government, the mining sector, the communities, and the traditional leaders there, in order to ensure that whatever is taking place, whatever is being mined there, has to benefit the citizens in such areas. I've seen instances where communities in some mining areas, especially in the Northwest Province, you'll get communities complaining that we're actually not getting any benefits out of this mining.
Yes.
But there are certain, there's an elite group that appears to be benefiting only from these mining initiatives. And my view is that if we're able to agree on ensuring that everybody gets a slice of the cake, that will be in the best interest of all the citizens. And that is what, those are the initiatives in my view that government has to come in handy. And when we talk of partnership in terms of crime, we also need to talk about partnership on matters related to mining as well.
And talking about everyone getting a slice of the cake, Mnguni, at one point I was listening to the Premier. She was talking about ensuring that there's beneficiation. That as it cascades down and everyone gets something from the mining that we do in the province, but it also develops the whether it's the immediate communities, as well as just checking what are the spin-offs of the immediate investment in terms of the mining.
To lead the health portfolio in Limpopo's provincial government, a renewed sense of confidence and inspiration spread from the corridors of our hospitals to the streets where viruses threatened our people's lives.
During the past few weeks, we've seen a number of confirmed coronavirus or COVID-19 cases in South Africa. As such, we need to work together, all of us, in order to reduce the risk of contracting and spreading by doing the following.
Dr. Phophi Ramathuba took to the streets, waging a war against illegal abortions by shutting down bogus practices one at a time. She also successfully fought against fake doctors employed by the state. In the streets, she is hailed as a champion of transformation. With countless young people she has mentored as a testament to her impact. Under her leadership, the dreams of aspiring doctors have come to fruition, with rural boys and girls becoming specialists.
What this has done was sort of give us more edge in what we do normally, you know. Learning from other specialists as well, you know, little tips and tricks of how we can be more efficient in what we do, and also just the encouragement.
After the 2024 elections, she became the first female premier of Limpopo.
Limpopo is now not only led by a woman premier, the speaker and the deputy speaker are female as well. So it means that Limpopo is just leading the pack in showing women empowerment, which has been extremely important.
And very, very interesting, it being Women's Month now, and as we have the opening of the provincial legislature, the first female premier will speak on Women's Month and open the legislature rather. So it will be interesting, of course, to see in terms of that the direction that the premier will take, Dr. Ndo, because government has been intentional, has it not, in terms of women empowerment? Yeah.
Well, government has been very much intentional about women's empowerment, and there's been a lot of initiatives that have been created to deal with women empowerment. As we celebrate 30 years of our democracy, South Africa is also ranked amongst countries that have taken very good initiatives on matters that relates to women empowerment. In South Africa, we even went further to have a commission that has to specifically deal with gender or women issues. But also at the same time, we have had many instances where women were given responsibilities to run provinces. We've had a number of women being the speakers of the different legislatures in South Africa. And I think in Limpopo we should even be more proud that the heads of the key institutions are actually women in this country.
All right, and we'll come back to our analysis here, just to tell you at home what you're seeing there. That's the premier walking in to the legislature there in the red carpet. Of course, the legislature today is sitting here in the Jack Bottas hall here in Polokwane. So that's the premier. You'll tell us the colors, of course, but that's the premier and that's the speaker of the provincial legislature that we see there in the pictures.
Yes, as they walk the red carpet in a, is that orange? Orange and yellow dress, looking stunning as usual. It should be very exciting to hear some of the things that she talks about, Dr. Ndo, as we know that there's been a water problem in the province for quite a bit, and there was an encouragement for municipalities to actually invest in water tankers. And is that something that we're expecting to hear more of today, to say that there are going to be water tankers that are going to be servicing people across the province?
My expectation is that we could have water tankers as a temporary measure. I expect the premier to exert a lot of pressure on the different municipalities to ensure that they provide water to their citizens. I'm also aware that there are big challenges of water, specifically in Polokwane.
Yes.
And there are instances where some people are complaining that we're going to work not having a bath.
Yes.
And it would sound like a joke, but
yes.
Those are the issues that have been happening. And when you need to do the reconnection
yes.
with the people, those are the basic issues that you need to start dealing with. Make sure that people have water.
Thank you, Premier.
So,
The Premier and her entourage.
Oh, it was
so when they were singing the national anthem,
sometimes
uzondlula lapha phambi kwethu.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem will now be played. During the play of the national anthem, all men in civilian are requested to remove their headdress and no movement. All members in uniform must salute during the play of the national anthem. The national anthem will now be played. Thank you. We will now conclude our procession in the form of march past. The parade will now welcome our first female premier in a style. The parade will do the march past and only the premier will acknowledge the salute. Over to you, Parade.
The parade will march past from platoon 1 to platoon 4. Platoon in the front to the right. Remainers before the march past. An exercise will be done in the honor of our premier.
Yeah. Kuhle kanje mfowethu.
Thank you, Premier. The Premier will now descend to the podium to the chamber.
Besikhona kwe-rehearsal sibonile ukuthi kwenzakalazi akuhambi muntu.
very beautiful today. Let me take this opportunity to welcome honorable members and all our important guests to the 2024 official opening address. I also welcome our guests who have connected via social media platforms. Our listeners and viewers at various communication platforms are mostly welcome. Honorable members will recall that during our last virtual sitting on Tuesday, 30th July 2024, the House resolved that official opening address shall be held at Jegbotes Hall, Polokwane Municipality, Capricorn District, on Friday the 2nd, 2024. Based on that resolution and in accordance with Section 110, subsection 3 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996, Act number 108, read together with Section 2, subsection 2 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislature Act, 2004, Act number 3 of 2004, and Rule 24 of the Standing Rules and Orders of the Limpopo Legislature of 2017. I hereby declare the Jegbotes Hall as the precinct of the Limpopo Provincial Legislature. Honorable members and guests, this sitting is convened in terms of Rule 12, subsection 1 of the Standing Rules and Orders of the Limpopo Legislature only to afford the Premier of Limpopo Province, Honorable Dr. Phophi Ramathuba, to deliver the official opening address to the people of Limpopo. Honorable members, it is my honor to welcome the Honorable Premier, our first female Premier, Honorable Dr. Constance Ramathuba, the Premier of the Limpopo, and our mother, Ramathuba, who's today the partner of the Honorable Premier. Then let me also take this opportunity to welcome the Deputy Speaker of Limpopo Legislature, Honorable Tebogo Poshia Mamrobela, and her partner.
They were laughing because when
Members
they
of
said the
Parliament
mother,
here
they
with
were
us
laughing
today,
because when they said the
you are
mother,
mostly
they showed the
welcome.
premier and showed
Members of the
MEC
Executive
Makam
Council
next to
and
her.
your partners,
So the
you
mother
are
comes
warmly welcome.
later.
Chief Whip of the Limpopo Legislature and your partner, you are warmly welcome. All honorable members of this august house, the Legislature of Limpopo, I can see today you are very beautiful and your partners are really province, Tatena Pinchabeleng, and all our HODs, our acting secretary of the legislature, Dr. Isaac Kuna, and all your managers, heads of national departments in the province, former premiers, MECs, speakers, deputy speakers, former chairpersons of committee, and former members of this legislature, you are warmly welcomed. Chairpersons and chief executive officers of public entities and the boards, you are welcome. Our most important people in this house are the executive mayors and mayors of our municipalities together with their speakers. But specifically, I want to greet the Honorable Councillor Musima John Makorompe and your executive mayors, members of the mayoral committee for really hosting us. Thank you very much once more. And the speaker of who's hosting me as the speaker of the legislature, Councillor Mudiba Velemina, we really appreciate for hosting us. Thank you so much. The leadership of the political parties, the African National Congress, led by Bomusanda, Provincial Secretary Ruben Madaji, and your leadership, the leadership of other political parties that are here, specifically I must recognize the leadership of the EFF, the leadership of the Democratic Alliance, the leadership of the Freedom Front Plus, and the leadership of the UAT, and the leadership of the Umkhonto weSizwe Party. They are warmly welcome. Leadership of COSATU and other unions, leadership of SANCO, organizations of disabilities. In this province, we've got our important stakeholder, which are the churches. I want to welcome all the bishops that are here. I just want to welcome Bishop Mureri. We are warmly welcome. Bishop Sikwari, as the chairperson of the South African Council of Churches and your delegation. Bishop Marcela, Dr. Bishop Mpatlele, Dean Machaka, Dean Racheku, Lebaruto Valengona, Kekopanchali, Dr. Rapakwana, Muruti Tava, Muruti Mufulazi, Lebaruti Kamuka, Marakesa Lebaradi Karakacharnache, the Holojamo province, Jacent Engenas, and the ZCT, they are warmly welcome. The Vice Chancellors and the delegation from higher education institutions and your delegation, I'm told that Professor Mohalong, you are here, you are warmly welcome as the principal of the University of Limpopo and your delegation. Business community, the media fraternity, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, and the media who's broadcasting all these activities, I want to say, all of you, tell yourself you are the most important guest of the premier today. So you are warmly welcome in this august house. Honorable members, let me take this opportunity to invite the Honorable Premier, the first female of this province, after democratic government. After 30 years, is the first time we welcome the first female premier in this province. Our premier, Honorable Dr. Phophi Constance Ramathuba, to deliver the official opening address. Honorable Premier, the podium is yours.
Uruangwa Phophi, Uruangwa Singo, Chiongwe. Phophi, hua! Mpachiongo, hua! Mpachua, hua! Sito, hua! Phophi muchena! babeyachika Chiongwe Phophi Chiongwe Phophi ndiwachawa benyabungwa wadangaira usikandebo ubumbawo Chiongwe 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 Phophi Sabungwa ndiwa Mulaheni ndiwa Mulunde ene Ramathuba ngadzina where the
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Rolibuwa. Ndi chifhinga cha Rolibuwa mianga Rolibuwa ndizone Rolibuwa Rolibuwa mianga Rolibuwa ndizone Ndolibuwa utothonipiwa nga meau azwi anzi uite. Speaker of the Legislature, Honorable Me Makoma Makurupeche, Deputy Speaker, Honorable Metebuho Mamurobela, members of the Executive Council, honorable members of the Legislature, the members of the National Council of Provinces, the Chief Whip of the Legislature, Judge President of Limpopo, Judge Patudi, and all judges and former judges who are here, King M. Mujaji of the Mujaji Queenship, the Regent, and representative of the Mpepu and Skukune royal families, chairpersons of the Limpopo House of Traditional Leaders and Khoisan leadership, and all our esteemed leadership, traditional leadership that has graced us. Executive mayors and mayors of our beautiful province, the leadership of the ruling party, the African National Congress, as led by our provincial secretary, Bomsanda Ruben Madaje, the leaders of the opposition political parties, all who are here, former MPs and MPLs who are here, the current member of parliament who are here, the director general and the heads of departments, stalwarts and veterans of our struggle, the provincial commissioner of the South African Police Services, our heads of both Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 institutions, the leadership of our faith-based communities, as also led by the chairperson of the South African Council of Churches, the first female bishop of the Evangelical Lutheran Church of South Africa, Bishop Sekwara. Leadership of organized business and labor, youth, women and community leaders, distinguished guests, members of the media, baduli ba Limpopo, badzulapo ba Limpopo, bane ba khori thetshelesa kana ndi radio kumbe milangute ka television, ne re ka n'wina hinkwawo a thobela abusheni silochile khoyemore di machelo. Honorable Speaker, our people have spoken. This was attested by the unprecedented contestation of those marathon unique ballot papers during the 29th May 2024 general elections. The people of Limpopo have once more again given us another opportunity to turn their lives around for the better. They want change. They cannot be patient to infinity. Hence, as we gathered in this legislative chamber today at the commencement of the 7th Democratic Administration. I shall utilize this occasion to outline our plan for the people of Limpopo to thrive. Yes, indeed, the change they want is the change they will experience. Honorable Speaker, delivering this address, I'm reminded of the ferocious battles which were waged by our forebears for this country to attain this state of democratic constitutionality. Our revolutionary mission was meticulously executed in all battlefronts because we have incessantly drank from the well of wisdom and followed in the footsteps of trendsetters, in the mold of the well-traveled Mama Charlotte Manya Matleke, the gallant Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela, and the resilient Mama Albertina Sisulu, the illustrious Mom Lydia Komapengwenya, and the firebrand Mama Gertrude Chope, and the stalwart Florence Muposh, the fierce Mama Betha Kowe, and the courageous Rahima Mus, the indomitable Mama Lillian Ngowi, just to mention but a few. It is no coincidence, Honorable Speaker, that I'm mentioning this list of pioneering women revolutionaries of the liberation struggle, as we are, of course, ushering in the Women's Month of August. This list of Matshwara Thipa ka bogaling has paved a way and made it possible for countless women from around the world to be leaders of nations, to become chief executive officers of big conglomerates and multinational corporations, to assume roles as captains of industries and many other strategic positions that were traditionally occupied by men against all odds, including the premiership of Limpopo. Our democratic government has crafted numerous policies and programs to tilt the tide against patriarchy and create an equal society where both men and women coexist with equal opportunity and equal rights. The events of the historic August 1956 march, where more than 20,000 women marched to the Union Building to record their discontent against the diabolic apartheid pass law, will be placed high on the agenda during this Women's Month. We will use the same energy to reach the pinnacle of this government's program of action to liberate our people in general, and of course women in particular. This time around, our battles will be against poverty, it will be against hunger, it will be against unemployment, and of course the inequality. As we run the gauntlet of this ensuing 5 years, we are of course with cogent plan to achieve more rapid, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth and job creation, to reduce poverty and tackle high cost of living, to build a capable, ethical, and developmental state. These three priorities are the mainstays of the 7th Democratic Administration. Limpopo stands ready to ensure that these priorities are converted into actions that will inform our endeavor to create a better life for all. We will elaborate further on this when we develop our medium-term development plan, MTDP 2024 to 2029. Honorable Speaker, our jobs plan for Limpopo focuses on harnessing the potential of key economic sectors such as mining, agriculture, manufacturing, and tourism through industrialization, which will ensure inclusive prosperity for all our residents. By leveraging our natural resources, fostering entrepreneurship, and promoting sustainable development. We are paving the way for a brighter and more prosperous future for Limpopo as a gateway to the continent, thus contributing towards creating a better Africa and a better world. Honorable Speaker, it is recorded, and it's a fact, that almost 72% of South Africa's mineral reserves are found in this province, Limpopo province, with untapped rare earth potentials, with global mining industry experiencing significant transformation, resulting in major capital investment paradigm shifts. Limpopo is well positioned to align very favorable on this shift. Mining investment is shifting drastically to the big 6 metals, namely copper, platinum group metals, focusing on platinum and iridium, lithium, nickel, cobalt, and other rare earth elements. Lessons learned from our several different annual mining, energy, and industrialization conferences have provided a sound platform to attract investments. These conferences represent a strategic effort to position Limpopo as a prime destination for both national and international investors. Our major investors in mining, retail, property development, and agro-processing are instrumental in driving the desired growth. Therefore, we should transform the investment commitments into tangible outcomes for our people in the form of jobs by producing wealth through ownership, including revenue and business growth. The fact of the matter is that these investment commitment figures are meaningless to the young unemployed graduate unless he and she or she experiences development in the form of jobs. This year will mark our 4th conference, which will continue to harness and leverage on the potential of these fields and will be held on the 23rd and 24th October. We are once more, as Limpopo Provincial Government, extending our invitation to all our potential investors with the view that we must take stock on our previous commitments, come up with diagnosis as to what went wrong in areas where we couldn't deliver on our commitments. It is only after the full diagnosis which will be made where we can decide on the way forward, whether the treatment is surgical intervention or whether there's still hope for conservative treatment. Honorable Speaker, by optimizing our untapped mineral resources, improving infrastructure, and fostering positive community relations through partnership, we aim to position Limpopo as a leading mining region while ensuring sustainable and inclusive growth through beneficiations. Honorable Speaker, you know very well that me and you come from a long way. And most of the time you would ask me why my skin is so smooth and soft. And my answer has always been that little secret, that humble avocado, that girls from the far north in Chakuma, that girls from the eastern part of our province in Tzanini grew up applying on our face. Because during our time, there was no household without an avocado tree. What we didn't know is that this avocado holds immense economic value once converted into a face mask, which today we spend thousands of rands to acquire in our beauty spas and retail stores. Meaning people were inspired by the women from Bembe and Mupani to come up with all these beauticians. These are some of the opportunities lying in our backyards that we should harness. Besides being either a fruit or a vegetable, depending on what you are consuming it for at that moment, the number of finished products that the simple avocado can become, it's astounding. Statistician General Tatana Risenga Maluleke, in his 2023 household survey report, indicated that Limpopo is still the leading province in the production of additional source of food at 90.6%. In simple language, the people of Limpopo, despite not owning any tracts of land, have proven beyond reasonable doubt that they are subsistence farmers in their own right. They are able to feed themselves, they are able to feed their families, and making it easy to tackle the cost of living as reliance on market products from retail stores is lessened. Unfortunately, over the past 30 years, we have not done much to change their status and support them to become commercial farmers. Mewendi Mushak from Lonsdale Village in Mulej, who is my special guest today. It's one of those many subsistence farmers who has managed to feed her children, take them to school by growing vegetables in her backyard patch and selling them in her neighborhood to make a living. Honorable Speaker, if there are people who deserve to own a land, if there are people who deserve funding, if there are people who deserve training, it's absolutely her. And Honorable Menakedi Kekana Sibanda, my MEC for Agriculture and Rural Development, our programs on agriculture should be biased during this 7th administration towards rural farmers like Memuche, who have demonstrated a keen determination to work the land without getting any government assistance. Honorable Speaker, the global market for products like subsistence products such as avocados is available. We do have the global market. Unfortunately, it has set standards too high to be met due to the fact that they are not trained to comply with the harvesting techniques and all other standards for international markets. So that avocado, which we allow it to fall first and apply on our face, can make a living and grow the economy of this province if only our farmers can be trained how to harvest it so that it doesn't lose value. Hence, me nakedi kekana, my mbokoto, I repeat, we dare not fail in this regard. Honorable Speaker, it is our desire to see industries focusing on manufacturing of agricultural products established in Limpopo, cutting down on exporting raw materials that could easily have been processed locally in our province, resulting in more job creation. Why in this day and age should we tolerate the practice, for example, of exporting raw phosphate for manufacturing of fertilizers elsewhere outside our province? Why don't we add the value on our phosphate before converting it, before exporting it by converting it to finished product? We can start small, but we will ultimately achieve. President Nelson Mandela puts it correctly when he said, open quote, "A winner is a dreamer who never gives up." Honorable Speaker, it is the intention of this government to increase participation of black producers in domestic and export markets and broadening their participation in the agricultural value chain. Again, we have directed our MEC for Agriculture to work on a short to medium-term strategies towards realizing our desire, which we will outline fully during the State of the Province address. Honorable Speaker and honorable members, another sensitive area of concern is our two agricultural projects, namely the Libuakhomu Chicken Abattoir and the Mashashane hatchery that have for a long time given us some consternations. We have already interacted with both MEC and HOD of LIDET to explore means of reviving the project. In 2 weeks' time, MEC, I hope I shall be receiving the updated progress report, and I will receive it on site at the Liwahomu Chicken Abata, not in my office. Because, Honorable Speaker, office must fall for all public representatives. In the coming 5 years, I'm not expecting any single MEC to be procuring new office furnitures, because who will be sitting in those furnitures? You must be out there where the people want you. Services are not in our buildings, but they are within the communities. There's a Bediela Citrus project. It's another project that has held our plans back to unlock economic opportunities for our people due to various challenges related to the management, ownership, and beneficiations. Equally, the MEC for Agriculture has reassured me this time that very soon we will be receiving bags of oranges once more from that farm, since she is intervening. We, however, at the same time take solace on other community-driven projects like the Majeje Citrus, the Mahadime Citrus, the Kopano Citrus, and the Hereford Vegetable Cluster, which demonstrated that government support is yielding positive results in the interest of promotion of inclusive growth and development. We equally commend the current efforts in the local red meat industry, where a public-private partnership initiative will enable our black farmers to export red meat to international markets, leveraging on the recently signed trade agreement with China and Saudi Arabia on agricultural commodities. Madam Speaker, on industrialization, I would also like to deal with two ambitious economic initiatives in the form of special economic zones that have a potential to turn around this province of mine, Limpopo, into a real economic powerhouse, so that people can stop laughing. They call us life orientation, while they refer to their provinces as mathematics and physical science. They will unlock the economic potential of not just in South Africa, but on a global scale. But let me rather, honorable members, first touch on a matter that is sensitive not only to me, but probably to majority of our people and also the members of this legislature. Almost 10 years ago, as a province, we set ourselves on an ambitious project to fight unemployment in our province. We had targeted to create over 22,000 jobs through the Musina Makado Special Economic Zone. I must say, in the process, unfortunately, we have experienced some hurdles and hindrances that have delayed the realization of this noble dream. However, we dare not succumb to failure in this catalytic project. That is why, to this effect, we have directed the MEC for Limpopo Economic Development, Environment and Tourism, Honorable Baldwin Chitareke Matibe, to pay full attention. You see, it's bold, I even bolding it. To pay full attention to this imperative and game-changing project by, amongst others, implementing a 6-month turnaround plan that we have agreed on. No stone must be left unturned until all initial agreements for investment partners are unlocked. until the plans for water provision in the area are implemented and until all environmental concerns that have held this project back are fully addressed. In this way, Madam Speaker, our dream shall manifest. On the other hand, the second Special Economic Zone initiative, which is budding with hope, is the Fitago-Mutubatsi Industrial Park that we currently fully own through our provincial entity, the Limpopo Economic Development Agency. The Fitago-Mutubatsi Industrial Park has developed a positive investment pipeline of 32 domestic and global companies worth 56 billion, with a potential to create 6,000 jobs in the first 5 years of operation and a further 20,000 jobs over 10 years. 9 of the 32 investors are already confirmed to take residence in the park in the next 12 months. These are projected to invest over 10 billion. This we will live to see maturing into a realizable dream during our 7th administration. On this one, because I'm pronouncing it, Honorable Baldwin Chitereke Matibe, we dare not fail. Small, medium, and micro enterprises is key to job creation. Limpopo is a rural province, and I will repeat, but has a potential of turning around our joblessness status through supporting our SMMEs. This can be achieved through the establishment of a dedicated development and industrialization fund for local SMEs and cooperatives. We will focus on the implementation of our township and rural economic strategy. It is against this background that the province has dedicated 30% of procurement spend to support local production by SMMEs and cooperatives. It is in this light that we hereby, in front of all of you, direct the MEC for Finance, Honorable Khabu Mawai, to ensure that this is realized without fail, not forgetting the payment of suppliers within 30 days by all our provincial departments and entities. This is non-negotiable, not under my watch, not under my watch. The MEC for Health, Media Getting, will tell you that she inherited a department which 10 years ago, it was at 67% compliance. But when she inherited it this year, it's at 100% compliance. So if health can do it, there's no department which must fail on this one. It is possible. The revitalization of industrial parks, development of automatic hubs, and the implementation of Green Energy Master Plan further demonstrate our commitment to sustainable industrialization and economic growth in our province. Through our own agency, the Limpopo Economic Development Agency, the leader, we will strive to strengthen our programs of revitalization and establishment of industrial parks, which currently we have identified in our strategic centers of Nkowankowa, Sishiru, and Thoyandou. To this effect, we shall embark upon a program to strengthen and capacitate entities with an aim of not only focusing on their primary mandates, but also to enable this administration to expeditiously achieve its goals and objectives of rapid and sustainable economic growth. Honorable members, for sustainable economic growth, relevant skills are required. Hence, we shall embark on an aggressive skills development program linked to key economic levers of our province. It is our firm belief that youth development is a key priority for us, and we are committed to targeting young people for reskilling to meet the demands of our envisaged industrialized, digitalized, inclusive economy. The province has already adopted its provincial human capital strategies during the 6th administration. Our role, therefore, is to expedite its implementation with concrete timeframes for us to avoid it accumulating dust. Honorable Speaker, plans are at an advanced stage to establish the Tshwane University of Technology campus in Giyani. You can see people are doubting. During our recent meeting with Professor Tinyuku Maluleke, the current Vice Chancellor and Principal of TUT, we agreed, both of us, that we cannot allow a situation where a child from Kamgongoma, after passing grade 12, forced to travel far in a quest for higher education. We are looking forward towards a situation where he or she will take a short left to further her higher education in a more advanced University of Technology, right there in his or her backyard. What is of concern for both of us, however, is the people who have started illegally occupying the identified erstwhile Giyani College of Education before even refurbishment could even commence. We are calling upon all those who have hijacked and illegally occupy any of our government property to desist and vacate with immediate effect, or else Operation Vuyisani Thundu ya Mubuso is about to be launched. And this one, it will be launched with Provincial Commissioner General, Madam Thembi Khadebe. Then you must understand, it's not gonna be nice. We know there are properties in Twando, we know there are properties in Kremetat, we know there are properties in Falvater. You know yourself, vacate with immediate effect. Those who think this university is far-fetched must think again. The doubting Thomas. Let me remind you, when we pronounce that Limpopo will be the first, University of Limpopo will be the first institution of higher learning to establish a post-1994 medical school, we were accused of hallucinating. Today, a child from Hachikunda Marema, when she wants to study medicine, she doesn't have to take a bus, a long trip to Cape Town, or to Durban, or to Johannesburg, or to Pretoria. She simply takes a short left to Mankweng, Habo Professor Mkhalung, to the medical school. Proudly brought to you by the ANC-led government. And currently, the very same ANC-led government has already started with the construction of the first ever Limpopo Central and Academic Hospital. And in the similar vein, initiatives towards opening of a specialized skill branch at the Sekhukhune TVET College, which will further contribute towards addressing skills gap and unemployment challenges in our province, is underway. We are, in collaboration with various sector education and training authorities, the SETAs, embarking on skills development through apprenticeship and learnership programs. To date, the Manufacturing, Engineering and Related Sector Education Training Authority, the MERSITA, has committed 130 million, targeting 500 candidates in the third quarter and 460 in the fourth quarter to commence in an apprenticeship program in various critical sectors, including, amongst others, in motor mechanics, in diesel mechanics, in mechanical fitting, welding, and also in electrical trades. We remain unflinching in our resolve to continue explore partnership with sitters in other areas that may provide support. Honorable members, we are all in agreement that laying of key infrastructure will support the economic growth as envisaged in our Limpopo Developmental Plan. The provincial government is steadfast in its commitment of upgrading and maintaining strategic roads that connect various communities, that will also connect agricultural areas, and also will connect our special economic zones, the tourism destination, and also our mining industry. These roads projects are not merely about laying down asphalt and concrete. They are about fostering opportunities. They are about stimulating economic growth and also enhancing the quality of life for all residents. Our strategic focus, honorable members, on road infrastructure is underpinned by the pressing need to address the substantial backlog in road upgrade within the province. With a vast provincial road network spanning at just over 20,000 kilometers, of which 66% of them remains unpaved. The biggest challenge with this gravel road is not necessarily that they are gravel or they are unpaved. However, the fact that we have neglected to either blade or re-gravelled and even basic maintenance is what makes me not to sleep at night. That is why using our internal resources and capacity to make gravel roads user-friendly by re-graveling, blading, as well as clearing bushes around them for community use, we must commend the work that is done by the Department of Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure, Honorable MEC Sebataulu Dikgerekgere Rachweni for Dikgerekgere Wednesday. The Dikgerekgere Wednesday project was born out of this concern, and it has revealed, honorable members, the great potential that some of our departments have capacity in utilizing our own resources for infrastructure maintenance purposes. We must also equally appreciate those municipalities that have already started to join this revolutionary program. I've seen my municipality, Mugalakwena, having their own Dikgerekgere Friday, which is also aimed at reducing reliance on service providers to do work that could ordinarily be done in-house. Earlier on, together with the speakership, both me and the speaker, we were able to join police commissioner on a parade wearing our stiletto without fearing of spraining our ankles as a result of potholes, because the city of Polokwane is hard at work fixing our streets. This is what we want to see throughout all our municipalities. We want to see dust everywhere in our villages, not to wait for a funeral announcement, not to wait for the councillor to make a sit-in within our municipality officials, because our yellow fleets must be insourced and we must appoint staff that will work. This is what we want to be remembered and be known for as the 7th administration. And having noted the demand by our traditional leaders, I've now directed both the MEC for Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure, and the MEC for Finance to find within our limited budget funds to procure these yellow fleets and also prioritize their operators for full-time employment in the public service, since within a short space of time, the very same employees against the shortage have proven that they do have capacity to maintain our gravel roads. So why not empower them by adding more fleets and adding more workers and cut down on the middleman. We can do things ourselves. Capacitating our state institution for us to resource services will be sacrosanct and shall remain the priority of this 7th administration. Plumbers must be hired, municipal managers. Electricians must be hired. Carpenters must be hired for us to avoid outsourcing even a changing of a globe in a clinic, including the unblocking of a toilet in this August house there by Libuakom. It must be the thing of the past. It must be done in-house. We have not forgotten, honorable members, we have not forgotten about a number of stagnant infrastructure projects across various sectors and departments. To this effect, we have directed the EXCO infrastructure cluster to do an audit of all unfinished infrastructure project, your Maputa Malachi Hospital, and develop an action plans to bring them to practical completion. When we present our State of Province address come February 2025, we should be speaking a different language on this matter. Madam Speaker, in its manifesto, the African National Congress committed under the priority to invest in people and meet basic needs, that it will give national and provincial government powers to support and intervene in municipalities that struggle to provide services to communities. The ANC manifesto continues to commit to provide clean water, maintenance of infrastructure, and water infrastructure. Madam Speaker, as a pathway, the President of the Republic has instituted the district development model, which will coordinate and integrate development across different levels of government and sectors. We will give effect to the President's DDM initiative through our Intergovernmental Relations Forum. Our focus as the 7th administration will be to strengthen and support municipalities in distress. Honorable members, we have heard your cries and the cries of the people of Tabazimbi. And the people of Tabazimbi deserve a stable municipality that will render services to them. The people of Tabazimbi are not interested in our egos and our political differences. They are interested in getting services. We want to reassure them that this matter is receiving attention, and Executive Council will very soon pronounce itself on the matter. That pronouncement, which will be inclusive of the way forward. There will be decisions that are going to be taken. They might not be nice to you, but leadership is about taking decisions, not selling ice cream. MEC Makamu has been spending sleepless night visiting that municipality. We have reached the level wherein we are going to decide, and will decide for them. One of the most critical basic services impacting on the lives of our people is water. Recent challenges in water provision call for a concerted effort to double our levels of provision. At one point in 2010, we were able to reach 84.1% access to water, from what we used to have in 1996, which was 33.5%. However, in the past decade, we witnessed a decline to 69.1%. Unfortunately, water has no alternative. And when I was still in primary school, my mom taught me, no water, no life. Our major concern is the coordination of water services to unlock some bottlenecks in areas like the Sekhukhune, like Mopani, and also Bembe, where bulk water infrastructure exists. But yet, it has taken years for communities to enjoy the benefit of such basic services. Honorable Speaker, let me share a story with you which the speechwriter refused to add. I recently visited Malamulele, where the meeting with the senior traditional leader, I'm not sure if Tobele Bompapul is here. He stood up in that meeting when we were discussing about roads, and he told us he does understand roads do have alternative, which I don't understand which one. But he says, more than 10 years ago, we visited him and Tobele Ramathuba as government and requested land for the Nandoni Dam. Fast forward, the dam has been constructed. They were excited. They even slaughter a goat and chicken for us as government to eat and feast because we brought good news. But he's saying, contrary to what they thought the dam will bring, he can tell me that, Premier, this dam of yours has not yet delivered water in our household. What we know is that this area, it's usually a warm area even in winter. But because of this dam, it has become so cold. And this dam, while Vembe might be a malaria area, that area was never a malaria area. But this dam has brought Anopheles mosquito. These are female mosquitoes which are biting his subjects, and they are now suffering from malaria. Then he said to me, there are two things that the dam has brought. It's malaria through mosquitoes and the cold weather. Now, it is against this background that we are not going to compromise. While we understand that water authority is not with the provincial government, we have now directed the Director General to lead a technical team comprising of our district municipal manager, our water authority municipal managers, and Department of Water and Sanitation, and all our water boards to unlock all water-related bottlenecks projects as a matter of extreme urgency. We are taking a bold step in this administration and pronounce, together with MEC of Coxta, Tatana, Biscop, Rogers Makam, we are embarking on a program called Operation Inomati Friday. Honorable members, batho ba ashu ba toda madi. Bantu ba ka hina ba lava mati. Batho ba bo rena ba nyaka metsi. And this we cannot be overemphasized. So through this bold move, we want to use every Friday to launch a water project across all corners of the province. Government will also, you ask the same when we say the Khere Friday. Who is paying for that? Government will also consider the option of encouraging our municipalities to acquire their own boreholes drilling equipment to expedite the acceleration of water provision in our communities. In the same breath, all district municipalities will be encouraged to procure their own water tankers, which will reduce reliance on private service providers, because some of these things are man-made. And we believe by building in-house capacity, water challenges will be resolved. We are also encouraging our councillors, especially ward councillors, my colleagues, the mayors and the executive mayor, to reside in their ward and their own municipalities where they were elected, so that they can face similar hardship faced by their constituents. Imagine if your premier, after inauguration on the 14th of June, relocate to Sandton or Camps Bay, driving a car with a GP registration, meaning will be contributing to Gauteng revenue collection, but continue to plead poverty with our treasury. Charity begins at home. Let's also see all of you public representatives driving even the cars that are L, Limpopo. Pay that disc in your own local municipality, not for any other. Honorable Speaker, we have decided as the Executive Council to convene all our professionals within the construction environment, all our engineers, quantity surveyors who are employed in our government departments, in our municipalities and in all our entities. We want to convene them in one room, and we are not going to leave that room until they give us solutions towards our infrastructure challenges, be it water, be it building, be it roads. We will extend the invitations to all sons and daughters from our province who are all over the country making and contributing positively towards economic growth to join us in that summit. We don't believe that as an engineer, whether civil or a quantity surveyor, you are happy to be residing in Sandton or Hyde Park while your own village that has made you who you are, it's without roads or water. At the end of the day, those of us who understand the African proverb, it takes a child to raise a village. It is time to give back. We are not saying come and work full time. We are not saying come and relocate, but
Honorable members.
We are calling upon
in
you
the House.
To bring your expertise. We have seen in the Department of Health that the Rural Health Project, it's run by professors from Groote Schuur Hospital, from Steve Biko Academic Hospital. Professor Steve Machidze is the head of department in Free State University of Orthopedics. Even not so long, a weekend ago, he gave in the weekend to come and operate his own people. So we are saying, we don't have money to pay you, but we want your brains and your ideas. And I'm calling upon all of you. And I know as professionals, we get fulfillment when we serve our people better than when we get money. We are moving, Honorable Speaker, we are moving 200, which translate to 16,750 people through the department's food security program. At the end of the day, Honorable Mayor Radzilan, the enemy remains hunger and poverty to our people. Honorable Speaker, while we have made significant strides in terms of grade 12 results, looking back in 1996, where we were at a pass rate of 38%, and today we proud ourselves with almost 80%. The challenge that possesses towards sustaining and improving on these upwards trajectories is our failure to invest on early childhood development. We will want to see an improved school readiness of children, as this is a better foundation phase for better results at higher grades and reduction in school dropouts. Honorable members, it is also our responsibility to create a conducive environment for teaching and learning by making sure that the school infrastructure is fit for purpose. We expect the Department of Education, supported by all relevant departments, to provide schools with water infrastructure and proper sanitation infrastructure, so that the MEC for Education must focus on her core business, which is teaching and learning. Additionally, the department is working hard to eradicate pit latrines in our school. All schools currently using pit latrines will be provided with appropriate sanitation facilities within the reasonable and acceptable period of time, bringing to conclusion the said part of pit latrines in our province. We have since directed the MEC for Education, Honorable Mabungu Durudi Ramakanya, to give us a comprehensive report on the remaining schools whose sanitation facilities still to be completed. We can't compromise on pit latrines. We have to eradicate them in their entirety. It is an open secret, Honorable Speaker, that the President of the Republic, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, has signed the National Health Insurance Bill into law. That must be enforced. Its success will be highly dependent on our ability to re-engineer public health facilities from primary healthcare level to tertiary level. Hence, we are directing MEC for Health, Media Ketseng Mashiro, to work around the clock, making sure our health facility receive the Office of Healthcare Standards Compliance accreditation as required for contracting with the NHI fund. We therefore call upon all our municipalities to support the Department of Health by providing services like water, power supply, occupation certificates, and certificates of compliance where applicable. We are also alive to the fact that the MEC for Health, just like her counterpart in education, has a responsibility to focus on her core mandate, which is provision of healthcare services, not building of clinics, not supplying of water, not power supply. Hence, MEC Sibataulu Rachweni, we need to capacitate your department so that it focuses on its mandate, which is infrastructure. Honorable Speaker, crimes against vulnerable groups with special focus on gender-based violence and femicide are unacceptably high. It is against this background that we call for the collaboration between the South African Police Services, the Department of Transport and Community Safety, Department of Health, and also the Department of Social Development, community policing structures, and all other relevant stakeholders to implement crime prevention campaigns across the province to address the crime that is affecting our communities. Also, Honorable Speaker, we have judges in this house. They will confirm that successful prosecution and conviction rate are two indicators which can lead towards reductions of these violent crimes. Unfortunately, these indicators are dependent on the quality of work that will be done by the investigating officer, the quality of work that must be done by the attending forensic clinician, be it a doctor or a nurse, by the counselor or the psychologists or social workers who are supposed to prepare our victims and all our witnesses, by the prosecutor himself or herself to start taking these cases very serious and present facts to the presiding judge and magistrate. Unfortunately, we always blame the judges for the outcome, forgetting that we have not put our system strong. Perpetrators can afford senior counsel and advocate. What is said is that our victims who are from the poor working class are dependent on state prosecutors, who some of them are not taking their jobs serious. Hence, we are directing our MECs for transport and community safety, social development and health, working with the Provincial Commissioner of Police, the NPA, Justice Department, to convene a consultative forum, which will also be addressed by the judges in order to deal with these systemic challenges so that we can have tightened case. Every rapist, everyone who murder a woman must go to jail for life. And it's possible. We have done it before. Honorable Speaker, Limpopo Province, because the reality is that if I report you as my rapist, 2 days later you are loitering around the street. The third day you are coming to kill me. So we need to take this matter seriously. Honorable Speaker, Limpopo is one of the most diverse provinces of South Africa, with a population consisting of 7 different ethnic groupings. We come a long way as a province that was formed from 3 main ethnically based homelands. Therefore, it is important and critical for the 7th administration to promote social cohesion and find innovative ways through implementation of arts, culture, and heritage program. To unite the diverse cultures in our province, we have directed Sports, Arts, and Culture, who has also started hitting the ground running, Honorable Jerry Maseko, to lead the department in implementation of multilingualism. Mifanela kuri mikota kubalabula le khone luaba ba kone na wamba, and cultural exchange programs in the current medium-term expenditure framework. If you are a member of this house and you can't speak any of these languages, there is a serious problem. How do you lead them when you can't communicate with them? Evidence exists, honorable members, that sports and physical activities can benefit education immensely, and that sports presents the child at school in a manner that is unsurpassed by any other activity. It remains our wish that our school sports program should be supported for them to produce more global stars, like in the mold of our Seshego-born Khutatso Munjane, who in June 2024 became the first black South African woman to win at Wimbledon when she won the wheelchair women's double. Khutatso Munjana is not a child of a tennis player, or did she go to a Model C school? She went to Helen France Special School, but here she is flying our flag high. She would have joined us today. Unfortunately, she just lost her mother. May her soul rest in peace. And let's be with her in prayers, because she needs that energy. Tune, we are asking you to tune so that you can watch her, Khutatso, from the 28th of August to the 8th of September, when she will be flying again Limpopo flag in full mast during the Para-Olympic Games at France. Khutatso is not alone who will be representing us. In this August house, my special guest is Cheryl James from Wembe, an athlete who will also be flying our flag as Limpopo. We pride ourselves with these young women. What a special Women's Month gift to the people of Limpopo. We must also encourage the young men to represent us at that level. Equally, allow me to take this moment and recognize Stein Dilange, a Limpopian wrestler who is currently participating in Team South Africa, flying our flag at the moment in Paris Olympics. Honorable Speaker, once upon a time, this province was dubbed Africa's Eden. Those who named it were inspired by its rich biodiversity, which made it easy for us to optimize the numerous tourism avenues and products offered by this province. The 7th administration will focus on repackaging the number of tourism outlets offered by this province. First and foremost, we must note in our midst we've got the MEC for Health from Mpumalanga. I always remind her that 70% of the Kruger National Park is actually located in Limpopo. And it is time for Limpopo Tourism Agency to leverage on this aspect and collaborate with Sun Parks and change this mentality that it is in Mpumalanga. The problem is that we are not developing our side. That is why people think it's in Mpumalanga. Dilodi change it. Tourism Limpopo. You must change this mentality. In addition, we also have 2 heritage sites that have been declared by the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO. The Mapungubye and Makapan Valley heritage sites continue to be this province's shining icon that must be used as formidable selling points to the global community. To this end, plans are afoot to have also the Hoedspruit Airport to be granted an international license because of the increasing numbers of overseas tourists who visit the Kruger to Canyon biosphere. There is evidence that domestic tourism is gaining momentum in our province, especially during ordinary and long weekends. We should take advantage of this phenomena and build rural economy and tourism through the likes of B&B in our villages. We must create accommodation for you. A reliable transportation network will also go a long way in unlocking tourism potential at local, provincial, and national level. Therefore, we cannot overemphasize the fact that the people of Limpopo are waiting with eagerness and anticipation for the much-vaunted high-speed train that will shorten the traveling time between Gauteng and Limpopo. Upon completion, the high-speed train will not only benefit the tourism industry, but of critical importance. It's likely to decrease traffic volumes on the N1 stretch by half, which is currently, honorable members, responsible for high road traffic accidents and fatalities. Every weekend, we are signing death certificates of the young men and women who are still economically active because of utilizing N1. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, let us remember that ethical behavior is the cornerstone of good governance. As we embark on the 7th administration, we must commit ourselves to principles of integrity, transparency, and accountability. A key aspect of this commitment is our unwavering stance against corruption and maladministration. We will implement robust anti-corruption strategies, ensuring that our actions are guided by the highest ethical standards. Together, we can build a Limpopo where corruption has no place. where public resources are protected, and where our people receive the services they deserve. We will advocate for good governance because it leads to attracting more investors, because they would want to do business with where accountability is the order of the day. Let us lead by example, fostering a culture of trust and respect, and demonstrating our dedication to serving our community with honor. By doing so, we will inspire confidence in our leadership and pave the way for a brighter future. Honorable Speaker, critically, it is one thing to have this grand plan, but forget the most important aspect of why we are all here. The reason we exist as leaders, it's yet again found in these three critical questions that on a daily basis we must ask ourselves. The first question being, what do our people want? And I still repeat, our people. Because for me, when you call them our people, it means you feel their pain. The second question must be, what do we want for our people? And the third question would be, what are we going to leave behind our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren? In answering these questions, please consider one of my favorite quotes of Amilcar Cabral, open quote, "Struggle is a daily action against ourselves and against the enemy." In this context, the enemy remains hunger, the enemy remains unemployment, the enemies remain poverty, and the enemy remains inequality. Honorable Speaker, allow me to extend my appreciation to my organization, the ruling party in this province, which was given the decisive majority of over 73% by the people of Limpopo, the African National Congress. For having entrusted me with the responsibility to take this great province forward, especially that they are not in any government of whatever kind of unit. So when they trust me with that, it is a greatest honor, and we dare not fail our people. I also wish to thank all my predecessors, starting with Advocate Ngwakura Mahlodi, followed by Ambassador Sello Molotro, and then Deputy Minister Kassel Matale, and of course, Mahlachi Ahlabiro Amraswi, my immediate former boss, Deputy Minister Honorable Stanley Chupu Matabat, for laying the foundation down in advancing the development of our province. One will focus on building on the foundation that they've laid, with emphasis on implementation of all progressive policies that have been developed all over the years. To my family, especially my partner, who is my mother, there's no one there is no one deserving this limelight than her. That is a fact. Even my children cannot come closer to her. So nobody, even my man understands he can't come closer to her. My entire family, I know you are here in your numbers. Thank you very much for your support and your understanding. I will not be able to survive without your support. To the Director General, heads of departments, and all men and women in the provincial government, let me thank you in advance, because I know after today you have received the marching orders and you are going to heed the call and dare not fail the people of our province. So thank you for not failing the people of this province. To my 10 members of Executive Council, the people of Limpopo have spoken. We dare not fail them. As I invite all of you, just like our BET award winner, Makadzi Muimbi, when she said,
Kariye rothe Limpopo. Ziyabuya Limpopo. Come to Limpopo. You won't regret dilo di chenchito. Swilo swi cincile, zwithu zwo shanduka. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, honorable members. Indeed, it was a maiden speech. It was a maiden address to the people of Limpopo. Re a leboga, Honorable Premier Dr. Ramathuba. Dilo di changile. Honorable members, I take this opportunity. Firstly, it will be important that we send our heartfelt condolences to the Munjani family. Indeed, the mother of our icon, may her soul rest in peace. Honorable Premier, your guest is here. Honorable MEC of the Department of Health, Me Sasekan Manzini, she's here. And she's highly welcomed. MEC, you are welcome. But as well, it was important that as I did my own welcome to this and acknowledgements, I did not acknowledge those that might not really feel comfortable, especially those who came before me. Former Speaker of the Limpopo Legislature, Woodin Tenwani Farisane, Waonapa. As well, my recent predecessor, Bomme, former Speaker, Me Rosemary Molapo, Lebona Bagonamu, Raleboga. On that note, honorable members, we shall now call upon the Honorable Deputy Speaker, Me Tebogo Poshia Mamrobela. You can as well acknowledge your partner, ma'am. You're welcome to do so.
Yeah, no, Speaker, thank you very much. When you were acknowledging the partner of the Premier, Member Mukaba and Member Rakhwale, they were worried that you are not mentioning your partner and my partner. Now they wanted to know who's the partner of the Deputy Speaker and the partner of the Speaker. Now, the partner of the Deputy Speaker is the daughter, Precious Mamrobel. The partner of the Speaker is the son, Makati Makurupech. Apparently, the members want to see you, the partners of the speakership. Barry, stand up. Those are our partners. Members of Legislature. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. If it was in our church, both me, you and the Premier, we were going to sing Igama Lamakosi Kazi Malibongwe after the Premier has delivered such an address that speaks to the core needs of this province. But without wasting time, I will not sing that song. We'll sing it outside Premier at our lunch place. Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker. Today is indeed a great day for the citizens of Limpopo. The Honorable Premier, Dr. Phophi Ramathuba, has set the tone for provincial government service delivery roadmap for the 7th administration and further outline key strategic objectives for the next 5 years. We expect the departments to provide detailed plan of action during their budget speech presentations. As you have heard, the Premier was mentioning the MECs one by one, giving the direction. Thanks very much, Honorable Premier, for giving hope to the people of Limpopo. We are certain that the people of Limpopo will receive quality service they rightfully deserve. I also thank you, Madam Speaker, with your partner. And in particular, thanking you for presiding over this important official opening sitting. I also express my gratitude to all who have contributed to the success of this event. In particular, the staff of Limpopo Legislature, as led by the Acting Secretary, Dr. Nkuna, Office of the Premier, South African Police Services, Polokwane Municipality, and the media. Guests and members, the following are the announcement. We'll have our lunch at Bolivia Lodge. You are advised to use N1 bypass. Our traffic officials will escort guests to Bolivia Lodge. Please, please follow the convoy and obey traffic control measures. I repeat, follow the convoy and obey traffic control measures. Also our officials, protocol officials, they'll be waiting for us at Bolivia Lodge. All guests are invited by the Premier to go and have lunch with her. And also, we have made sure that the Premier leaving this house, she's not going to address the media. She's going straight to the lunch place so that people can start to eat, because they won't eat if she's not there. They will wait for the Premier, and these are her guests. So the media will see her after she eats that lunch with her guests. Honorable members are notified that the debate on the official opening address will be on Tuesday, 6 August 2024. The Honorable Premier will respond to the debates on Thursday, 8 August 2024. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. This House is adjourned to Tuesday, the 6th August 2024 at 10 o'clock in the Limpopo Legislative Chamber. Thank you.
Fighter.
Presenter, we continue down. 10, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We're continuing with our broadcast here of the opening of the Limpopo Legislature for the 7th administration. And we are speaking, of course, with political analysts that are sitting with us. But we've been listening to the Premier address the province on numerous issues. So she has touched on very important issues that are service delivery related, but giving an idea and an indication of how the government intends to proceed going forward as part of the 7th administration. Now I've got our political analysts that are joining us. I'll just add a new one and introduce Mr. Elvis Masoga is also joining us. He wasn't part of our initial conversation. He was in the red carpet earlier. Mr. Masoga, thank you very much for joining us, having listened to the Premier opening the 7th administration, the Limpopo Legislature. What is your general overall summation of what you had?
No, thanks very much. Firstly, I sensed, a seismic paradigm shift in terms of approach and focus. This is a Premier who, the totality of the speech, yes, definitely a Premier will be very much centered on action, urgency, and work ethic, because these are some of the virtues that have been lacking within our bureaucracy, might be even the last 30 years, not only Limpopo. So, and what I like about, the focus and approach is that she concentrate on projects that are, unfolding.
Yes.
Rather than, plans. I think most of her speech, it was around, practical implementation of what we are supposed to do. So I'm sensing this, a very seismic, paradigm shift in terms of focus.
Yeah. Dr. Ndo, what is your overall view of the speech by the Premier?
The Premier, in my view, was able to provide a clear plan on what the 7th administration is all about.
Yes.
And to add on what Mr. Masuka has just indicated, it's about action, it's about precisely identifying critical issues that government has to focus on. And I'm happy that most of the things that the ordinary citizens of Limpopo wanted to hear,
yes,
it's exactly what the Premier spoke about. She spoke about the creation of jobs.
Yes.
She spoke about the project that talks to drinking water Fridays.
Yes.
That talks to action that the government is embarking on to ensure that the communities of Limpopo always has water. Talking about abandoned projects,
yes,
that are a thorn in the faces of many citizens of the province. And more importantly, the linkage between the government,
yes,
and the traditional leaders, which the government plans,
yeah,
to ensure that it is resuscitated.
Mngoni, what was your take?
No, I think it was quite an upbeat speech with a demonstrable sense of urgency. It's not every day you hear a Premier also referring to their cabinet members so often, sort of giving them a line of march and what her vision of those departments ought to be, or maybe what they've now agreed in terms of, what needs to be a sense of focus. And I think it was, in that sense, then well-rounded. I mean, she spent quite a bit of time, praising the beauty of the province,
yes,
the provincial flag that is being flown by various athletes and performers and so on.
Yeah.
So also touching on those soft issues, because often we focus on the hard-nosed service delivery, but I mean the issues of sports, issues of arts and culture are also important. Also recognizing, I suppose, for a province of this nature, when she was saying it's 80% rural, and therefore you've got to elevate the place of traditional leaders, afford and accord them the necessary respect, and ensure that there is a budget to give them their tools of trade and making sure that they work. So I think in that sense it was a well-rounded speech, but the proof now going forward will be on, of course, exactly the things of, is there delivery of services, also speaking quite loudly on the issue of hunger and poverty in the province, and what needs to be done by social development to improve the number of households that are actually benefiting from the food program of the department.
She touched on that issue of beneficiation we spoke about earlier. While speaking about mining, actually, in terms of development, she touches on mining, ensuring that there is inclusive growth, there is a serious investment in job creation to reduce poverty, to tackle the high cost of living. So that's very important there, Ngoni.
No, of course. I mean, mining is one of the strategic sectors of the economy of the province of Limpopo.
Yeah.
Mining, agriculture, tourism, as they've outlined, at least some of those. But yes, I mean, the issue of beneficiation is going to be an important one. But as we said earlier, is her counterpart at Mineral Resources, Gwede Mandashe, the minister, nationally listening?
Yes.
Is the industry listening? What kind of beneficiation do we mean? Because remember, in some instances, the ore that is, taken out, I mean, if you develop smelters,
yes,
we know that smelters are also the biggest energy consumers. So do we have enough? And no, we have not been having load shedding. But if you had to add another smelter that's going to rely on ESCOM for energy, it would be a serious add-on. So then now we need to see, what does this beneficiation in practical terms mean? Which sectors of the minerals industry do you want to make sure you beneficiate? So is it the platinum that you want to beneficiate? Is it, other different forms of mineral resources found in the province that you want to beneficiate? And which companies are going to come on board? Because remember, globally, there is a big competition for beneficiation. So you are saying somebody else's value chain must be disrupted, which may even have diplomatic relations. What are the, bilateral agreements that you have to do? So I think we need to start being granular about what we mean about beneficiation and what practical steps we need to take to make sure that the improvement of the mineral resources from raw materials to secondary or tertiary goods can be done within the province before they leave the province and of course leave the country sometimes.
A serious investment in this conversation on agriculture, Dr. Ndo, that it's going to be very important to look at issues around agriculture as well, investing in agriculture. Perhaps it touches on the bilaterals and but how the province is positioned as well, whether that of course impacts economic growth and how. Dr. Ndo.
The Premier was able to make us acknowledge that when you are a citizen of Limpopo, you're sitting on gold, you're sitting on food.
Yes.
And that's why there was an emphasis of over 90% of the food production or the capacity that Limpopo has in terms of food production. And that is one area that we need to take advantage of. And another aspect that we need to look at is that having a lot of food that is being produced, we still have a lot of food that is being wasted in Limpopo because of the inability to process this food for reuse or for sale or to be used by other people. So that is one other area in my view that Limpopo is to take advantage of. But another area that she emphasized on was to provide as much support as possible to small-scale farmers and small businesses to ensure that in that project they're able to strive and at the same time they'll be able to deal and fight against hunger and poverty. And my sense is that, as we indicated earlier, we still need a buy-in of our own communities to say, this is the goal that we are seated on, and government is coming up with sufficient support to ensure that indeed we are able to strive as a province.
And just to proceed from where it is in terms of agriculture, because there's areas of investment on industrial areas that were there, areas that are no longer functioning as they should. So the Premier is talking about reinvesting in these areas, ensuring that there's new focus in redeveloping them.
Yeah, but we must also remember that, the concept of agriculture by its very nature, it's a seasonal enterprise. And I think maybe because we are living in a world where technology has, provided so many opportunities, like the climate smart agriculture. Weather and the climate are no longer favorable, not only for Limpopo, but for vast, nations across the world. So why can't we adopt this climate smart agriculture where you don't need any soil, you don't need any rain, but through technology you can also be able to farm some of the vegetables and fruits. And I think it's something that maybe innocently the Premier could have forgotten, because you can see the trends in climate and temperature all over the world are changing, particularly especially in the aftermath of COVID-19. We have seen you can no longer identify winter with its original features or summer with its original features. So I think that's another aspect. But maybe to touch on the macroeconomic industrial alignment is that for example, in Limpopo, we are rich in raw minerals such as platinum, but unfortunately when it comes to smeltering, processing those minerals, that's where we are lacking. We are losing too much capital value, because when you export those raw minerals to Germany, to other countries, when they come back, for example, in terms of gold, you export it, it comes back with a necklace, costing more than 1,000% of the very same, amount that, they paid for you as South Africa. So I think maybe government must come with an intention to say, if you want to have a mining plant, you sign a contract to say, next to the very same mining plant, there must be a processing plant, there must be a beneficiation plant, there must be a manufacturing. That's how, Europe and other, American, North American countries were able to industrialize. You can't industrialize by investing in exporting. You must start to develop that, processing and manufacturing capacity as a province, and that's where it starts. Like even our fruits, citrus, we are rich in terms of agriculture when it comes to citrus, but it's all about exporting.
Yeah.
For how long?
There's that conversation on industrialization there as well, Dr. Dog, and investment on that. Perhaps that's an area that as a province for a while we've been looking at whether we are maximizing, implementing, and moving forward with it.
It could be seen to be moving at a slow pace.
Yeah.
We initially spoke about the Makadomusina corridor.
Yes.
And I'm happy that I heard the Premier talking about the possibility of this project having to create around 22,000 jobs for young people.
Yes.
And my view is that if these initiatives are able to bring positive results, this is what government has to go for. And at the same time, we're not supposed to be seen as a province that only watches other provinces doing industrialization.
Yes.
It is possible that we can do it on our own, and where we appear to be lacking, we can still get expertise from other areas.
Yes.
And if there is any form in which you are able to make a difference, it's important to ensure that you go for it, because clearly the 7th administration talks about action and action only. So my expectation is that indeed we have to see more and more action happening in the province of Limpopo.
Action and more action, Ngoni. Perhaps when you look at economy and you look at the townships, you look at small, medium and micro enterprises, that's one area you want to create jobs, and that's what the Premier speaks about here in terms of looking there to create jobs and ensure that there is investment. He even talks about this idea that government should be ideally paying, government departments should be ideally paying suppliers within the 30-day period, that they should continue. So that's an idea that has been there. The previous Premier has spoken about that should be a continuation.
No, I mean, as far as the National Development Plan, there has been agreement that globally job creation now is actually led by the sustenance of small, medium, micro, medium enterprises.
Yes.
That's how we even came up with the Department of Small Businesses. But what has not been following through is the availability of funding, combined with the linkages to value chains, and ensuring that we deal with what President Ramaphosa has been calling for some time, demonopolize our economy.
Yes.
So the South African economy is not yet conducive for the success of small businesses, because there are these concentrated monopolies that are big holders of capital, big holders of contracts, even within government departments. And the thing that government has at its disposal is how it uses its procurement processes as a tool to then support these small businesses. But as you are saying, there are certain inefficiencies, the handling of invoices, the cash flow problems that departments and municipalities experience. Treasury has actually developed a protocol on how to handle those issues, the 30-day payment and so on. But we still see serious financial issues. But also, I mean, if you read the Premier's statement, if you read the President's statement, the cost of creating a job in South Africa is actually very, very high.
Yes.
I mean, that 53 billion rands commitment of investment is only said it can create 6,000 jobs in 5 years, and maybe 20,000 jobs in 10 years. It tells you that the available cash then to create jobs must be in the billions and billions of rands, and unfortunately the province may not have as much money. Then the question becomes, how do I make sure, if there is, as she was indicating about the rural women who are in agriculture, if we are supporting a project there, as government, we are also buying from that project to make it sustainable for the procurement of nutrition programs in schools, for the procurement of food in hospitals and prisons and all of that. And indeed, I mean, these innovative ways, but also how do you unlock innovation? I think one of the things that was not present today is how do you innovate? How do we support SMMEs that are in the technology sector? Because we know that the youth, they are consuming a lot of technology and digital products. How do you then make sure you've got homegrown ability to support those kinds of SMMEs. And we don't only think about traditional SMMEs, and we think of SMMEs that have an ability to build sustainable companies rather than supporting SMMEs that only simply, are third parties to buy you pens and stationery in a department, but companies that have longevity and potentially a future.
And she speaks about skilling the Dr. Ndo, so that is important in investing in the youth. But she makes the point that you should reduce the distance that one needs to travel to go and get a skill, to go and get education, and that they will work out to ensure that the campus of the Tshwane University of Technology in Guyana, that is sped up and they are able to quickly ensure that there's work done there. But as we perhaps wrap up, what stands out for you in what she said, in the plans going forward?
It's about skilling young people. We don't have to only complain about lack of jobs, but we must talk about skilling these people, ensuring that they are able to respond positively to the challenge of the job market in the country. So the availability of higher education institutions in Limpopo is very, very good for the people of Limpopo, and ensuring that indeed education is easily accessible.
Yes, right. As we wrap up, what stands out for you in what she said?
Yeah, we are just waiting to witness, the momentum, especially because she has set a tone today in terms of action and urgency. What we are waiting to witness that momentum in a practical sense. Yeah, she mustn't just give up on what she started.
Okay, and so we, of course, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Lukhona Mnguni, Dr. Levindo, and Mr. Elvis Masuga. This is the Premier's opening of the 7th Administration Legislature here. And of course, as you heard, there will be in the coming days debates and engagements, and she'll reply to what the members of the legislature would have said. From us here, thank you very much, and we appreciate your time having sat out with us throughout the day.
Thank you very much, Mitzi. I'm going to pull it. All right, one moment, I've got something to say. Thank you for today. It's a wrap.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Doc.
Yeah, no, thanks. That was good.
Hey, brother. Thank you, thank you. Flo, thank you, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.